what you did to try to avoid issues, by doing your homework, you thought. I don't know how much I'll make of the Home Stars thing. I might kind of make a slight reference to it. I'm not sure, because we can't definitely say that they're only getting positive reviews.
Well, they have a negative review, but it's someone who had the job done.
Is that right? Who
Yeah,
wasn't happy
with a completed job. Does that help if I've got more light?
Yes, that's good.
We'll refer to this stuff later.
Okay.
So I'll take you through it a little bit, but again, not a huge amount of details, just in terms of first estimate, and then what happened in terms of the revised estimate. You go away for a vacation for a week, you come back, what the hell, it's completely different. And what you wanted in terms of your money back and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll give it a try. Hope these guys.
If he starts barking, I'll put him outside.
Okay. All right. So, and you can just look at me for this here too.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
The noisy one is the white one?
Well, they can both be. I'll just put them outside. Yeah. Well, let's just put them outside for the time being. Okay.
So, and we'll keep, again, short and sweet as opposed to long, complicated answers will help. But you know what? I can stop you and start you. It's
Okay.
not a big deal. You okay there, Al?
Yep, we're rolling.
Okay. Just take me right back to the beginning. How hard did you think this would be initially? What did you do to try to make sure that it wasn't going to be a big hassle?
Well, I did some research. Looked for companies that had a good reputation or good online reviews in this case through some websites that I thought were there for that purpose, the Better Business Bureau and the Home Stars, and then I called several contractors and had them come out and give me estimates for the work, and for me, right from the get-go, I didn't think it was a huge job because the basement, the framing is already there. It really just needs all the old nails and things pulled out and drywall being put up and all that. I didn't think it was a really big job. And then the roof, rebuilding the roof, I didn't think was a huge job. And then building a sauna, which is just a simple structure. And, obviously it has some complicated bits, but, the structure itself isn't that complicated. So I didn't think it was a huge job. And my hope was that it would be done quite quickly within a couple of months.
Now, it didn't turn out that way. Tell me what it turned into for you.
Well, it turned into a kind of long, unpleasant experience where I felt really, I felt kind of as though I'd been scammed, They gave me one price, got me to sign a contract, and then the price doubled before any work had begun. And I just felt that there was something really dishonest going on. And
take me back a little bit there. So what was the first estimate, and then what happened?
Hang on a second.
Oh.
Okay.
the first estimate from this company?
Yeah, not the very, very, very first one, but the one that you were basing your signature on.
Okay, yeah. So
what was that?
I signed for a contract based on about $18,000 for the work for the 3 areas. And that seemed like a reasonable price to me, and that's kind of what I wanted to spend. I didn't want to spend a lot more, and so it seemed. And that there might be things come up on the job. You have a little contingency, but I wanted to keep it reasonable. It's not a palace, it's just a basement.
And you come back from vacation, and something completely different is presented to you.
That's right.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
Well, I was shocked. I was really, really shocked because I thought I was going to come back and there'll be workmen in my house starting that very week. And that was what I was led to believe. And instead, I just received an email with another estimate for the same work for twice as much money, for $35,000.
And what did you think when you saw that almost doubling of the estimate?
I was just totally shocked. I was really, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I just thought, they can't do this. And then in the email that accompanied that estimate, they said, oh, if you want to change your mind and ask for your monies back, that's fine. We understand this is a lot more expensive than your original estimate. And so I said, yes, I absolutely want my money back, because I totally lost all faith in the company when I received a second estimate for twice as much money.
And you thought that might be the end of the hassles. You're getting an email from somebody saying, if you want your money back, drop us a line, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, very, very friendly and personable. We understand this is a lot more than you were expecting to pay. If you want your money back, here you go, right? You know, you can request your money back.
So then you get the owner weighs in.
That's right. Well, initially I got a couple of emails from him saying, well, I have to investigate this. And then I had an email from him, which I found to be kind of a bit intimidating, you know, for want of a better word, where he basically blames me for the difference in price, and that I should have known the cost of a sauna, and anyways, that
And
sort
you
of thing.
should have caught it. You should have been.
I should have
telling
caught
them.
it. I should have known, and you know that I was, by saying, because I was unhappy, and I told them that I was unhappy, and that I would tell everybody I knew, right? He accused me of defaming his company and that kind of stuff, and really came at me in a very unpleasant way.
Were there any other thoughts that occurred to you? I mean, you're gone for a week. The estimate doubles by their own admission, and then they try to say that there's some costs incurred because of this. What about, you know, should they even have proceeded under the circumstances while you're away? I mean, what were you expecting, I guess, if you look at this, even at arm's length, and think what this company should have done when they suddenly realized themselves that it was that they were way off or something? You know, what do you think they should have done rather than hit you with this?
So for me, I think, were I in their position, I suppose I would say, look, you know, we've made an error, right? Our first estimate, if this is the case, our first estimate is really off. We made a big error. I'm not sure what the problem was or why, but you know, we understand you want your money back, and I don't think I would ask for any money, because the error is on their part, you know. And if they're concerned about money lost for time spent, then maybe they can take from the first estimate. The person who did that job, maybe they can garnish his wages. I don't know, you know, take something from him, you know, to pay for the second guy's time. Although, you know, I don't know how much time they actually spent.
But I guess the point is, it's not your error, it's their error. You tell me that.
No, I think it's definitely not my error. You know, my error was having faith in that company and thinking that they were, you know, straightforward and upfront, and, you know, and I can't be held responsible for the mistakes they make in their estimates.
Now they fall back on the fact that, you know, you signed a contract. It clearly said there'd be a penalty if you know, a 15% penalty or something like that. What about that? You signed a contract.
That's right, and you know, and I got to say, I feel quite embarrassed about that. He went on to say that I initialed every page and fully understood the terms of the contract, which absolutely wasn't the case. I signed the contract in a lunchroom with a worker walking by and witnessing it, and no one stipulated that if there were changes made, I would be held, you know, responsible for 15% of the cost. Now, you know, now I know if I'm going to sign a contract like that, I run it by a lawyer, right? But I just, you know, didn't think that was going to be the case with this company, because they seem to be so, you know, legitimate. Or.
But there's a key thing here, and that is you signed a contract with their estimate being $18,000,
right,
and then they change kind of the rules of the game. I mean, explain that to me. Tell me a little bit about that. How you feel about that difference, right?
Well, I just find it, you know, kind of totally bad business, right? To change the price. You know, I mean, it would be one thing if they had gone on the job and found there was a pipe going through the property that had to be, you know, removed or something. But no one so much as lifted a hammer in this situation. They just gave me one estimate, and then when the work was supposed to begin, gave me another estimate, which was twice as much money. So they got me to sign based on one price and then changed it, which just seems super dishonest to me.
Mm-hmm. I'll put this to a lawyer, though, too, about the fact that how can you be held to a contract when the pivotal amount of money changes? They're the ones who change that, and how they can't see that that would be a violation of the contract themselves by changing that number. You've signed a contract that said 18,000. They change it to 35,000 and somehow expect you to still abide by that contract.
That's right. Yeah. No, I mean, it seems ridiculous to me. You know, it seems that there's nothing kind of legal about it. You know, I can't imagine that, and the people I've spoken to who are in trades and things, I've got some friends that are just like, he can't do that. As soon as they change the price, the contract is null and void. But you know, according to the emails that I've had from him, you know, he's prepared for this sort of thing, and that, you know, he's you know, clearly done this before.
Now, you know, they seem to be offering some vague refund, it's not clear how much of the $5,000 deposit that they're offering to give back to you. Tell me a bit about that too. You don't even know what they're offering to give to you.
That's right. Yeah, they talk very vaguely about the amount. I received several emails from the owner telling me to come in and sign this non-disclosure, non-complaint, non-post form, and I'd get my money back. But he never told me what that amount was. Never once. Can I just address my dogs?
Yeah,
It's
sure,
doing my.
yeah.
I'm-
Well, let's talk about that extortion aspect too,
Yeah.
the fact that they were trying to get that non-disclosure and how you feel about it. So,
okay.
sounds like you good, Al?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about the other thing that disturbs you or bothers you.
Well, they would only give me whatever mystery portion of money that I don't know what it was going to be back if I signed a non-complaint, non-post, non-disclose form, right? So I found that kind of like extortion because, you know, why couldn't, if they stand by what they've done, why, you know,
You can ignore it. Let's keep on going.
if they stand by what they've done, then why would they have any issue with me posting or complaining? You know, if they feel like what they did was okay, then why can't I go on to Yelp or HomeStars and say, oh, I had a really bad experience with this company, this is what they did. But for me, you know, the only time they ever talked about giving me back my money was with that form being signed. And he went on to email me day after day, saying, when are you coming in to sign this form?
And one thing we haven't talked about is just how you now view HomeStars and places like that, where you go to get what you think is unbiased information. Tell me about the doubt that's now put in your mind with this.
Yeah, well, for me, I have complete doubt now about those websites because, you know, if people who have had a bad experience are forced to sign a non-disclosure form in order to get a portion of their money back, then there's not going to be any negative postings up there, and it's not going to be representative of the companies really. And I mean, you know, you hear these sorts of things about Yelp and all these other businesses, but HomeStars and HomeStars, pardon me, and the Better Building Bureau, you know, you feel should have some more legitimacy since there's sort of an accreditation. I don't know if HomeStars is, but Better Building, the Better Business Bureau, that's it. They give letter grades to companies, right? And when I did complain to the Better Business Bureau, she said, please file a complaint, which I haven't done yet, but I will be doing. They've had no complaints.
You feel let down by those online
I do,
sources.
absolutely. And I feel like that, you know, that it's, you know, a really interesting aspect of this is that you're not seeing things because you're not seeing a true reflection of the business because they're not, anyone who's having a bad experience is having to sign this non-post, non-complaint, non-disclosure form to get their money back. And, you know, truthfully, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to not be under pressure and that money immediately. But a lot of other people, I think, would be really intimidated by the tactic and just take what they can get.
And so what do you think the takeaway is for people who might rely on those kind of online reviews?
I wouldn't. I just wouldn't rely on those online reviews in the same way. I would go back to the old-fashioned phoning up previous clients and, you know, asking to go and see work and, you know, talking to people. Although again, they can pick and choose who you talk to, right? So, you know, I'm not sure what advice to give people in terms of how to secure a contractor that's, you know, going to be stand up, you know, and straightforward and things. I'm not sure, but I certainly wouldn't rely on those websites or the ratings systems.
Because they may not be true.
Yeah, I think that they're quite meaningless now, right? Because if you don't see any negative postings, it might be because everyone who's had a bad experience has signed off and said, you know, I want my money back, so I'm not going to say anything bad about this company.
They may have been muzzled.
Yeah, well, that's what it feels like. And to be cheesy, because I'm a school teacher, it's this notion of, you know, what do we tell the kids if they're being bullied? You know, it's like, you know, tell someone if you're being bullied, and I kind of feel bullied, you know, and I feel, you know, kind of nervous about this whole thing, but I just felt like it was a serious enough issue that I wanted to draw attention to it.
Let's just sum up that thought, because I mean, what you're saying is sort of like, you know, don't believe what you read online because those who've had negative experiences have probably been muzzled. I'm kind of looking for let's tie it up in a bow with a statement like that. So what is the takeaway for people then who might rely on these online reviews?
You know, I would say not to rely on online review systems because they don't necessarily give a clear picture of the companies that they represent, and that, you know, you have to do the old school telephone and check out projects yourself and phone around and do your research. And you know, you might use those websites to get a few names, but I wouldn't rely on anything that the websites necessarily say about the companies, because I don't think it's reflective of you know, the broader kind of picture of the work, good and bad.
The negative reviews have
Yeah.
been muzzled.
Yeah, negative reviews aren't shown. You know, people are not allowed to speak up if they want, you know, their money back.
So it's not a fair representation.
I don't think so, no.
Because people are relying on these more and more, right?
I
You go
know.
to these things, you think, oh, this is a great resource.
I know, that's how I do all my research for if I'm going to buy a product, or, you know, I do everything online now. And I take a completely different look when I read those reviews now, you know, and I, you know, sort of try and inform myself about, you know, the sites and their processes and all that kind of thing. But I take it all with a pinch of salt.
Could be a lot of fake reviews on there too.
That's right. That's right. Buyer beware, I think, you know.
Okay, good. I think we'll call it at that. Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll have to be careful with this. We're going to have to not malign them, because he does seem a bit litigious
yes.
in his threats, right? So
Yeah. No, and this is like, honestly, I kind of half expect a brick through the window. You know, that's the kind of vibe I get from the guy. You know, he just, well, I mentioned to Paisley that, you know, I got this thing on LinkedIn that he's looked at my profile a couple of times, right? You know, and that's kind of creepy,
yeah,
right?
it's a little creepy. Yeah.
But I'm sure I'm just,
Well, God, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be doing anything more than just that.
Yeah.
Probably just checking to see who you are.
well, and he was probably wondering what was happening, right? Because it took me a while to get all my stuff together for the putting in the claims, because I'm still I'm dealing with my father's estate. I'm the executrix and everything. So I'm got all that sort of stuff going on, and I'm working. So, you know,
yeah,
it's,
it's a little busy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I will be careful, and I'm not gonna I won't use a clip of you saying it's a scam and stuff
Yeah.
like that, because that might start
Yeah.
to, you know, denote there's something illegal. I think we'll just kind of present this probably more neutrally in some ways than you would like, but I'll just present it as, you know, here's what happened, here's the estimate you got, you know, a week later you come back because the second project managers come in, the estimate is doubled to $35,000. You basically take him at his word when he says you might want a refund, you may want to back out of this. It's kind of understandable, and then the owner weighs in. And,
Yeah, and I think, you know, I don't think they left me any choice but to cancel. Like, that's something, you know, I don't know if I've made clear enough. Like, you know, I didn't have the money for twice as much, you know. So it's like, you know, what else? What choice do you have but to cancel under those circumstances? If it was $5,000 more or $7,000 more, you know, it's something you're kind of prepared for, you know, when you do something like this. But twice as much, you know, and you know the difference was so huge, and they both work for the same company.
Yeah, and you do think that? Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, it's their error. I mean,
That's just it, right? Like, that's the thing that's so frustrating, right? Is it seems to me it's all their error, you know. And when I did phone the Better Business Bureau, they're like, yeah, no, they should have done all their research. They should have known. They should have had all those estimates of materials and costs and all that before they gave you the first contract. But instead, they, you know, did it after. They got me to sign the first contract, and then they went off and found out that they were wrong.
I think when you take this to small claims, I mean, you know, that the fact that they changed that estimate so radically for the sauna, and then they, as you say, they're saying to you, he's saying to you, oh, you should have told us that this was wrong.
Yeah.
Based on your research, that makes so little sense.
No, I agree, right? And then that's, you know, I keep thinking, did I do something wrong? You know, like, this is like, you know, what am I at fault here? Because he makes me feel like I've done something wrong. But really, my only huge mistake was having faith in that company based on the flashy website and the home stars and the Better Business Bureau rating, right? That was my mistake, and I've learned a great deal from it.
Okay, I think let's